Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing an unboxing, a first impressions, and a project. And the product that I'm going to be using today is the thermal cinch from We Are Makers, formerly known as We Are Memory Makers. They have kind of rebranded a little bit, and they came out with this thermal cinch. I saw it and I was very intrigued. I make a lot of notebooks for craft fairs, and I was just very intrigued by this. So I did some more research, watched several videos, looked at several channels, and decided to go ahead and purchase it. So we're going to do a little chatting first, and then we'll get into the unboxing. We'll get into the making of a project. So first things first, why I chose to buy this. I bought it from HSN. And I normally don't like troll or prowl or stalk the HSN channel. I don't. Somehow I came across it. And the reason why I purchased it from them is they have a 30-day return policy, which is fantastic. So that gives you plenty of time to, play with whatever thing you've purchased, see if you like it or not. And then you can return it for no charge, which is phenomenal. So that was a bonus for me in purchasing from them. Another reason why I purchased from them is they had a bundle going on. So I was able to get a few more products to try at no additional cost. It came in the teal. So there is a pink version of this machine and there is a teal version. I like the teal version, so that's why I went with them also. It also had very cheap and expensive shipping. I just really struggle spending a lot of money on shipping, and I will usually troll and look around until I can find somebody that either offers free shipping or has much cheaper shipping. I just don't like paying a lot for shipping. I just don't. So those are the reasons why I went with HSN. I know that We Are Makers has them on their website. I know there's a lot of places that have it on pre-order. I just went with HSN because I could get it right away, and for the other reasons I just stated. So that's why I went with them. Now, why did I purchase this? Like I mentioned before, I do a lot of craft fairs, and I like my customers to have the ability to have options. One of the things that I do is I make a lot of notebooks, and this is a book binding machine. And I typically do like spiral bound notebooks or notebooks that I've used like regular glue to adhere. And there's nothing wrong with either of those options. I like them. One of the things that I liked about this is that I can make a very wide variety of sizes of notebooks, up to 1.5 inches, I do believe. And so I really like that. When I normally bind something with like a spiral bound, a metal spiral, number one, those are kind of pricey. Two, they come in a very limited number of sizes and colors. So I like the fact that with this, I can make any size I want, up to 1.5 inches, and I can bind it with any kind of paper that I want to bind it with. So that opens up a big door for me in giving my customers variety. Another thing that I like is that typically when I bind something with a spiral bound, it's bulky, for lack of better words. And this is very slick. It's very thin. There isn't something kind of sticking off of the notebook. It's all attached to it. And this just gives me and my customers some variety. Those spiral bounds can be kind of pricey. And these, just the strips. So I looked online and I found where you could get 50 of the binding strips for $30, which makes them about 60 cents a piece. Now, my spirals are more expensive than that. And I do try to buy them in bulk, so it does kind of bring down the price a little bit, but I do like the idea of being able to purchase these in, I like how thin they are, and 60 cents is a lot cheaper than my metal spirals. And like I said, it gives me a variety of sizes. So I watched We Are Makers, their tutorials on it. I watched Deanna from Crafty Crafts by Deanna here on YouTube. And actually her video is what actually made me pull the trigger and buy it. She has a very similar crafting style to myself. We use very similar products. And that's what made me pull the trigger. Now, We Are Makers says that you can bind anything from leather, vellum, acetate, chipboard, wood panels. So that's pretty cool. And of course, cardstock, that kind of stuff. Leather, did I mention leather? I don't know if I mentioned leather, but you can bind leather. And so I think that's pretty wonderful. And I can't necessarily punch through leather or wood paneling with my Cinch machine. Not this thermal one, my regular Cinch machine. Cinch machine. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. Wasn't expecting that. Anyway, and then I also watched HSN and Allie's demonstration of this machine. So I did a lot of research before I did pull the trigger. And like I said, when I watched Deanna here on YouTube, she is the one that made me kind of pull the trigger and decide to give it a try. So we're going to make some projects here on screen. I'm going to get everything flipped around and just kind of show you the machine itself. We'll unbox it. I'll show you what I got in my HSN bundle, and we'll kind of go from there. So let's get into it. So here is the box itself. Very light. The box is really pretty, actually, but the box itself is pretty darn light. And like I mentioned before, I got the kind of, bonus super awesome pack from HSN. So it came with an additional pack of 12 of the binding strips that are loose. It came with like a basics set, a die cut set of binding spines, and then a rainbow set of binding spines. There were 6 in each of those. And this rainbow one, I had pulled one out because we're going to make a project on screen here, and I wanted to kind of show something with this. So I'm going to open this box up off screen. I just couldn't get it under my camera. Inside the box, you of course have a instruction manual. You get an additional 3 spines and a little clip to help hold your pages in place. At the bottom of the instruction manual, there is a QR code, and I did watch some of these videos, and it's Allie demonstrating how to use this particular machine, but there are several other videos there also. Here are the 3 additional binding strips and the little not paper clip, but binder clip that you can use to help kind of hold your pages in place while you're working on it. There's a craft one, a blue one, and a pink one. So there's those inside the package, and then of course the machine. I went ahead and took the packaging off the machine, and here I'm showing you one of the things that I love about We Are Makers products. They are really, really good about putting the instructions for whatever tool or machine you're using on the machine somewhere. I love that. If you're like me, you have a tendency to kind of throw stuff away because you don't think I'll need it, or I'll remember how to use that, or whatever. And inevitably you don't. And so they are always really, really good about putting their instructions on the machine. So this is the machine. This is the teal version, like I said. I really like that one, but there is the pink option if you'd prefer that. This is kind of the inside of it, the guts of it, I guess you could say. As you look down, there is that silver plate there. That is what actually heats up and melts your glue to form the actual spine of your machine. The little vertical bars that you see here on screen, those are what kind of hold your book in place. You'll actually like stick the book down inside there, and those will spread apart and then kind of apply pressure and hold your book upright inside there. This little part that I'm messing with right here is the dust cover, but it also doubles as the cooling rack for it as well. And then as you can see, the little elbow looking things at the very bottom right there, that's actually where you can wind up your cord. So this is one of the things that I wanted to show you. So that whole binding strip is 12 inches long. But if you notice, like the glue does not go from end to end. So it's about 1/4 of an inch shy. So really your binding strips are about 11 3/4-ish inches long. That's just something to kind of be aware of. When I went to make the project that we're going to make on screen, I went ahead and used my paper trimmer to cut that off because I didn't want to have to mess with that later and apply maybe another, spine over it. So I went ahead and chopped that off. I went ahead and cut a stack of paper off screen, and I've got about 30 sheets of some lighter weight, probably 80-pound cardstock. And then I also have, so it's probably about 32 sheets of 80-pound cardstock because I have the cover as well. And it measures about 1/4 of an inch wide, which is what the actual spine is for these pre-cut and pre-made spines. So I don't want my spine to be quite that wide and cover up so much of this really pretty paper I have. So I'm going to take my paper trimmer and I'm just going to slice some of that off, just so that it's not so wide and covers up so much of that paper. I did go ahead and kind of fold the paper along those score lines around the glue strip, just to kind of prep that paper for folding over. Here I am tamping down all of my paper, making sure that it is flush, the side that is actually going to touch that glue. One of the things I am noticing is that that glue strip is not in there straight. And that's going to kind of create a little bit of a problem later on. So here I'm showing you this binder clip. It is too teeny tiny, y'all. It just wasn't going to work. So I went and grabbed some of my binder clips that I use. So here, once again, I'm just tamping this down, trying to make sure that I've got this glue touching as best as possible. And right there, you can see it's not touching. So the glue strip on there was crooked, and I was having some trouble to see it's touching there, but it's not touching there. And so I was having some trouble making sure that that glue was touching, or all of my paper was even and touching that little glue strip there. So I kind of fiddle with this for a while, just trying to make sure it's touching as much as possible. I go through and I try to push it down with my fingers. I tamp it down 1.5 bajillion times. I just wasn't getting good contact. So here I'm showing you that it's kind of crooked. And so I'm going to try to score it a little bit more with my fingers and try to just kind of manipulate that paper and break up the fibers just a little bit so it's a little more malleable around that spine. What I end up doing is getting more binder clips. So I just grabbed 2 more binder clips and just stuck those to the spine. I have not taken off the adhesive backing on that double-sided tape yet. I probably could have at this point. That may have helped me a little bit. But at this point, I just kind of left it loose. I just wanted to see how this was going. This is my first time ever doing anything, ever trying it. And I just wanted to see how it would go. So here I'm going to stick this in. So remember, the instructions are on the outside of the machine, but it's just very simple. All you're going to do is push that down in there. You're going to kind of feel it lock in there. And you see how those bars are kind of spreading apart. Those are what are going to apply that pressure to kind of hold things in place. I was struggling. It was kind of catching. So I'm going to move those binder clips up just a little bit more further just to try to get them out of the way a little more. And then I'm going to stick that back in there. That silver plate is what is going to get hot. And I kind of wondered if residual heat would radiate up from that and cause the double-sided tape to come loose. But really, honest to goodness, and I don't know if it was just because I didn't necessarily have it in there for very long, it really only gets hot right on that spine. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. So you plug it in. There's a little switch on the side. There's a light that will turn blue and will flash. When it stops flashing, you can stick your stuff in, your book in, and you can hit the timer button. When that timer goes off, which is about 2 minutes later, your book is done. So here I took it out, I tamped it down again, and I'm just looking to see just by my eyeballs if I'm getting good contact all the way around. So I'm going to put my little clip back on, and I'm going to set this back here. That dust cover doubles as like a little cooling rack, and it says to give it 5 minutes. I think that is just kind of a rule of thumb, like just kind of a ballpark number. But I think really you would be fine as long as it's not hot to the touch. Like as long as it's not warm and not hot, I think you'd be fine. So here the book is no longer hot to the touch. I'm showing you kind of that glue has melted. That glue almost has the texture and reminds me of like a zip tie, like a plastic zip tie. And that leads me to something else that we're going to try in this video. So what's cool is that you can actually put multiple books in at one time, as long as they are not over 1.5 inches wide. You can put multiple books in at a time. So for me, that is a benefit because anything I can do to save time is money. And so that was appealing to me. Another thing that is appealing is that the fact that this opening here that we're looking down into is 12 inches long. And so if you wanted to make like a very large, like scrapbook style book, you very well could. I don't make things quite that large. Typically the largest I make something is 11 inches, you know, an A2 sized piece of paper. That's typically the size that I make. But you do have the option of going all the way up to 12 inches and about 1.5 inches wide. You would need to use more of those glue strips, which that's not the end of the world, but that is something to be aware of. Is the wider you get it, the more of these little glue strips right here that you're going to need. So I've let this cool. It's completely cool to the touch. Here I'm just pulling back that spine just to kind of see what kind of adhesion we have. This side looks good. We're going to look at the other side. And I kind of felt like it was trying to pull away a little bit. And so I'm going to end up opening this up and we're going to kind of take a look at it and see what we've got. I'm going to go ahead and peel off the backers of the double-sided tape here and just go ahead and put that down on both sides. You can do this beforehand or after. It doesn't necessarily matter as far as I can tell. All the tutorials I watched, they did it before. And then I watched one tutorial where they did it later. Here I'm showing you that this book doesn't necessarily lie flat. This is pretty well glued together. And this is pretty much the middle of my little book here. But it's very, very stiff. And I think that over time you could get that to work. But here, if you saw, it like popped apart. One of the things that I saw is that you can actually re-glue things. So, and I discovered that even my like cover wasn't actually adhered either. So one of the things I discovered is that you can actually you can reheat this. So I'm going to tamp this down about 1.5 bajillion another times. I'm going to put this back into my cinch machine and my thermal cinch and reheat it. I'm going to follow the exact same process before. Hit the timer button, let it run its 2 minutes, let it go until it's absolutely cool to the touch. When I pull this out the second time, I did, while it was still hot, I took my bone folder across the spine and just ran it across the spine a few times and across the front of the cover and the back of the cover. My thought process with that was that maybe I would be able, while the glue was hot, kind of push it into the places that maybe it didn't get into the first time. and maybe that would help it all kind of adhere better. Here I'm shaking it and like none of the pages are falling out, but as you saw, like even my cover right here was not done and put together. So like I said, I'm going to put this back in, let it run its course. I'm going to run my bone folder across the spine of it and see if that helps while the glue is hot. So here this is. I ran it through the second time, and when I did this, I did rub my bone folder across the spine while it was hot. I didn't apply a lot of pressure, but I did apply some. My thoughts were that this would help get the glue down into the spine a little better, and I do think that that helped. However, in the process, I do think that some of that thermal spine cinch got into like onto the cover pages, and I think that it made it almost to where it kind of tore like the top layer of the paper off. It didn't make it fall out, it just kind of marred the top of the paper here, and I'm going to show you. It's on this one that you can see it the best. It kind of just takes off the top layer of it just ever so slightly. I can always put some washi tape or something over that, or even just tear that page out if I felt it was not good enough quality to sell. But here I'm being pretty rough with these pages, trying to see if I can make them come out, and they are not coming out. And I am pretty over the moon about this. So I do think that maybe going over a second time really did help. Reheating it the second time and applying some pressure with my bone folder, I do think that made a difference.
Like I said,
in the midst of doing my research, I came across on HSN, because this machine has very mixed reviews. People either loved it or they hated it. And one of the things I saw, a guy got on there, said he had a thermal binding machine for a long time. All of a sudden, 2 years from now, we're never going to be able to find the thermal binding strips for this machine, so you're going to have a useless machine. Someone got on there, said that they had a thermal
made my own little
binding machine,
it's not even,
and when the company no longer made the strips for it, she used hot glue. And I was super intrigued by that, and so I wanted to give it a try and see.
What I'm going to do
now, full disclosure, full disclaimer, I don't think that this will affect your manufacturer's warranty, because you're not doing anything to the machine itself, and you are still using the machine for its intended purpose. But if you are concerned or
it's just heating up,
whatnot, before you try this, please check your manufacturer's warranty.
So it is heating up.
I honest to goodness don't think it would. But if you are concerned about that, or you know more about those things than I do, please feel free to let me know in the comments below.
Just because
I don't think it would do anything to your warranty. So I wanted to keep things as comparable as possible. So this is the same weight of cardstock that I used before. This is the same thickness as far as like being about 1/4 of an inch wide.
Like a horrible, terrible disaster.
And I'm going to apply, you know, my spine the same way I did before. I'm just going to use hot glue sticks and a little scraper tool just to kind of even the
mail won't have been delivered, but you can go.
The reason why I was intrigued by this is for several reasons. Number one,
these glue sticks super cheap.
What if you can't find these thermal strips anymore?
Here,
or they're out of stock and you need them.
You may not be able to find these,
whatever the reason may be.
You know, just anywhere. But you can find glue sticks.
You can find glue sticks
anywhere.
At dollar stores. You can find them at grocery stores. You can find them everywhere. And most people that have a home probably have a hot glue gun with gobs of glue sticks, and they don't know what to do with them.
Avoid any warranties on here.
I was really intrigued by this. So
because
what I'm doing is I am going to apply some hot glue to the spine of this book. And I'm going to then put the spine on top of it and do the same thing I did before as far as the binder clips and all of that jazz.
I'm going to take my hot glue.
So here I'm just going to use the binder clip to hold the pages together. I'm going to apply a fairly thick amount of this hot glue. Then I'm going to take what I actually used to clean my desk off and get glue off of my desk. I'm going to use that. It's just a Tim Holtz scraper. I'm going to use that to just kind of even out that hot glue all across that spine. That's what that black and gray tool is right here. And I'm not necessarily trying to be crazy precise. I am trying to get little strings and hairs off and clumps of glue off of the sides.
Get those.
But I'm not trying to be crazy precise.
Trying to get like a layer of glue across them.
I'm just seeing if this will work. This is truly an experiment. I was, like I said, kind of interested and fascinated by what this person said. And so I just really wanted to try it. So here I'm just going to set my little spine in there, making sure it's got good contact from top to bottom as best I can see. Then I'm going to use the binder clips, put it in the machine, run it through the 2 minutes, then set it down aside to dry or to set in the cooling rack for the 5 or in my case until I feel like it's cool to the touch. Here I did use that same scraper tool just to see if I could get some better adhesion in there. And then let's take a look at it. So I'm messing with the pages. I see where just a little section was popping out, and then I get closer to the edge and the pages come out. So I'm going to do what I did the last time with the pretty one and the actual strips from We Are Makers. I'm going to run it through again, but I am going to go ahead and attach that spine to these covers. I do think that going forward, just from experimenting here, and like I said, Allie, when she demonstrated this for We Are Makers on HSN, she went ahead and attached the spine to the book. She was doing this step before she ran it through, and I think that makes a difference. At least I think it did for me. So I think going forward, I'm going to go ahead and always attach my spine first, just because I think it makes a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the spine, and then I'm going to run this through for a second time, just like I did. When I take it out and it's hot, I'm going to run my bone folder across the spine again and tamp it back down, and then let it go until it's cool to the touch. And here it is, and y'all, it is almost identical to those We Are Makers strips. I mean, almost identical. I'm being rough with it. I'm shaking it really hard. I'm trying to peel the pages away and see if they'll come out. I'm bending it to where it's like flat on my desk. I'm actually like running it through and I'm trying to purposely be rough with it because, I mean, this is a notebook. Like, I want them to use it. Y'all, it is almost identical. And I'm looking, and I had a little bit of glue seep out on the edge, but honestly, you can take some scissors and cut that off, and it will look just like the ones before. I mean, all they're seeing is that you used glue to adhere it. So those are both projects. I do think that they are very similar. And let's kind of get into the overview. I came back to this the next day. So this had a lot of time to cure, and I don't know if it is the combination of heating it twice and the fact that I ran my bone folder across the spine just to kind of get the glue to get in there better, or the fact that I actually attached the spine, which I've seen Allie do when she was demonstrating this on HSN. She attached the spine and then put it in. One other girl I watched, she didn't do that. She waited to attach, like to glue this part of the spine. She waited after she had run it through the cinch to attach that. I do feel like there's a little bit of a learning curve. So if you're looking for something that is just plug and play, or you get kind of frustrated really easily, you don't have the time to do some figuring, then this may not be what you want to go with. You may want to wait until it's been out for a while, maybe a year or so, before you actually go and purchase it, just so that all of the quote-unquote kinks can be worked out before you go and get it. One of my issues is that the pre-made spines here, these ones, they're not, the paper is 12 inches long, but the glue is not. So that's something to be aware of, that you're not going to get glue all the way to the ends. That may not be a big deal if you are doing something that is 12 inches long. But for me, I wanted to make sure that my glue was all the way end to end. So I did have to do a little bit of trimming even before I put it on any paper. The machine is easy to use, and I do appreciate that. I appreciate that We Are Makers always puts the instructions on the machine or on the tool in some way, shape, or form. I do appreciate that. There's 2 buttons. a power button and then a go button, a timer button. So it's very easy to use as far as that is concerned, and I do appreciate that. Of course, I love the color. I love that the dust cover is serves dual purpose as both a dust cover and is part of a cooling rack. I do think it's a good idea to just kind of, with a little bit of force, run your bone folder across that spine while it's hot, and then set it down to cool for the 5 minutes or until it's actually cool to the touch. I do think that helped me. I don't know if that will help you, but it did help me to just run my bone folder across that. The big thing is the glue sticks. Like, to me, there is a very little difference between using a hot glue stick and using their glue strips. Now, don't come after me. I don't think that this ruins your warranty or voids your warranty, because you're not doing anything to the machine itself. And you're still using it for its intended purpose, which is to thermal bind books. So I don't think that that does anything to your warranty, but if you're concerned about that, go ahead and double check the manufacturer. But I did get a little bit of hot glue on that metal plate, but once this cools down, I can take a plastic bone folder and scrape that off, and it'll be fine. The big reason why I wanted to try that is because if you are wanting to get these thermal, you know, they're either pre-made ones or just the loose ones, like, you're only going to be able to find those in certain places, craft stores, online. But a pack of glue sticks, hot glue gun sticks, you can find anywhere. Dollar stores, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Target. I mean, they're everywhere. They're in your grocery stores. And so, and they're super, super cheap. So I already talked about how these thermal cinch strips with the 50 pack for 30 bucks come out to be about 60 cents a piece. Which is not bad. It's really not. But a hot glue stick is like pennies. I do think that going forward, I will go ahead and glue, you know, release the double-sided backers and go ahead and glue the cover before I go cinch it. And I do think I'm going to continue to rub my bone folder across it while it's hot. I do think that helps. And I think when I run out of these pre-made and given to me binding strips, I'm going to break out with the hot glue gun. As of right now, I think I will. But like I said, I want to play with it a little more, try some different covers. Today's video, I just did cardstock covers, which is a lot of what I do, but I do also use chipboard, and I would like to try some acetate. But for now, I do like it. I do think it's going to work. I do think there is a learning curve, but I'm excited to play with it. And if anything changes, I'll let you know. But like always, I appreciate you spending time with me, and we will see you next time.